Well, if I was to make you to sort of sum up here, I'm going to make you guest editor of the media writ large. You talk about this continued sense of partisanship, need for more curiosity. What should we be curious about now? Even the missive to future historians, what would you like to see people investigating more? Because if anything, there's an argument that we have been over covering, or certainly there's been a saturation coverage of both the Bidens and the Trumps, maybe not in the right area, arguably. So give us some assignments from where you sit, if you're not going to do it yourself.
I think reestablishing nonpartisan professionalism in journalism is the number one need. We've seen two major newspapers, the Times and the Washington Post, undergo dramatic qualitative decline over the past 15 years. I mean, and to me, as a liberal progressive, the Times' obsession with Trump is hilarious, but deeply damaging. It's I look at the front web page every day, and it's just Trump, Trump, Trump. The origins of this did happen during the Obama years because so much conservative media got so caught up in this inveterate hostility towards Barack. And I sensed very clearly during my 3 long conversations with him in 2016 that the experience of the presidency, the experience of all the hostility directed towards him as president, had the effect of making him feel blacker by 2016 than he had felt, say, in 2008.
That seems understandable to me, doesn't it?
Oh,
that
yes.
You're attacked
Yes.
and nothing like, you bomb London, the people of London feel closer because there's an enemy.
Yes.
Solidifies your identity.
But reestablishing professionalism in the news media is my number one hope for the future.
Well, and the consumers of media too, right? There's this echo chamber where the way we consume news also seems to come through a partisan prism. Anything else that you'd want to add, Dave, especially, when the book came out in 2017, it was, a lot of people thought this kind of book would be a blockbuster. It didn't perhaps do as well as some thought. Were you surprised by that? Or was it emblematic of what you're talking about?
No, I wasn't surprised. It made the New York Times bestseller list.
Got a review.
Yeah, the Washington Post named it one of the 10 best books of 2017. But it came out 4 or 5 months into the Trump presidency. Barack had disappeared, and everything was Trump, Trump, Trump. It's as we've seen this past 2 weeks. Rising Star, like Bearing the Cross, like Liberty and Sexuality, is a book that people will, still be reading 25 years from now, and that, as a historian, is what you hope for.
Great. Listen, thank you very much for joining us. The book is, of course, Rising Star, and we're talking about the present day, situation of how this is also played out. What's on your radar that you would put on ours as you're looking at the landscape now? It's no dearth of information. Anything that's striking to you that you'd be paying attention to?
I follow the Supreme Court very closely. And again, I try to look at it with from a professional lens, not a political lens. And I'm as a lefty progressive, I'm happy to say that, Neil Gorsuch, Amy Barrett, Brett Kavanaugh, they are good justices. This is a really serious court. A more serious court in terms of the analytical quality of their work than what we had during the 1960s or 1970s. To me, the court is very important to me. I think the court is very important to us. and it's imperative to keep the court as distant from partisan politics as is possible.